the past 9 years of wholesaling real estate, I have made a lot of money. I've done very well for myself in the past 9 years in wholesaling real estate. And in the past 9 years, I have done over 3,500 wholesaling real estate deals, which is a lot. I do a lot of real estate deals and I continue. I've almost pretty much doubled the amount of deals I've done year over year since I got started in this business. But the craziest part about it is I have had a lot of lessons, and I really attribute wholesaling real estate and honestly my journey in this business to what I call like, what do you say, doggy years. That's the best example I can tell anyone. It's like doggy years. What this means is my 9 years of wholesaling is probably 63 years for the average entrepreneur, wholesaler, whatever you want to call it, because I've been through a lot. I have invented a ton of wholesaling strategies, and I have been, the person who's pretty much put a lot of the stuff in wholesaling to the cutting edge. And what I want to do today is share with you my top lessons that I've learned in the past 3,500 wholesaling real estate deals I've done in just an entire live stream. Now, of course, I want to answer some questions, but I've pretty much written some universal truth bombs that I think a lot of you guys will use to probably get your first deal, maybe get you your next deal, make your fifth millionth dollar in the wholesaling space. But I just want to give you some no BS business advice in wholesaling real estate. I wish someone would really tell me when I got started in this business. And even if you're doing a lot of deals, this is something that is going to help even get you more success and more money in wholesaling real estate. Now, I'm not saying this to make you do the foo-foo, woo-foo stuff. This is, when I say universal truth, a lot of it is super uncomfortable for a lot of people. But I think it's important that we know this and really understanding how we can utilize this to make a lot of money. Now, this is not going to be me kicking and screaming like crazy, right? But I think it's really important. And last time I did this, a lot of you guys really liked it and got a lot of value from it. So without further ado, let's talk, right? So the first universal truth I could tell anyone about this business, real estate investing, wholesaling, is first and foremost, okay? And this is super, maybe uncomfortable for a lot of people. Let's make this red. All right. Is strangers only care about what you can do for them. Now, everybody wants to not agree with this and say, oh, what are you talking about? No, that's not how it works. Okay, let me be completely straight up with you, okay? When it comes to anything in life, strangers only care about what you can do for them. And as long as you understand that fact, you will start making a lot more money. What I mean by this is when you are going to a business, they only care about your money and what you can do to help their business. Straight up. Not many charities are going to do that, right? I mean, I guess charity is the only thing that will do that, but most people will only care about what you can do for them. So if you ever see like a celebrity, you always go up to them, ask for a picture because it gives them clout, because it gives you clout. Take a picture of someone's not going to help them at all, which I think is kind of absolutely hilarious. And when I say like friends and family, that they're not strangers. And so when you talk to a motivated seller who I believe is a complete stranger to you, you should really understand this, that they only care about what you can do for them. So when you have your ego involved and you want to start talking about how amazing you are and how you're so rich, you're so successful, and you're the biggest and the baddest buyer in the area, like sellers really don't care. They care that you can buy the property for cash. This universal truth is very empowering for a lot of people for the simple fact that if you are somebody who has never done a wholesaling deal, the seller really doesn't care if you buy 1,000 houses a month for cash or one, or if you haven't really done many, if you have a cash buyer, because they have a problem. And if you can be that person to give them a solution, you are going to get a wholesaling deal. You are going to help them out. But so many people don't believe this. And a lot of people feel like you have to become this magic expert. And people looking to sell their property for cash are not like magical. Like, I hear people say all the time, like, oh, it's all about building up your brand when it comes to, buying houses in the area. I mean, the only one that has truthfully been able to do this is home investors, and that's pretty much it. So no, in the wholesaling space, sure, we can talk about branding and all that stuff, but like it don't really matter. Strangers only care about what you can do for them. If you start looking at interactions with strangers like this, you're gonna be very interesting. Now, a couple old people like just like chit chatting and talking, but I'd argue that they're very lonely, and it's just crazy. It's absolutely insane. So strangers only care about what you can do for them. Even if they're if they're like an old person want to talk to you, they're usually lonely, and you can help them. And so, I know it sounds very sad to say that, but when you talk to somebody, be very, 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 very transparent on what you are, who you are, and what you can do for them. That's how people's brains work. And this is a psychology trick of how you can help and just your own business and make a ton more money. Now, another thing is wholesaling deals come from eyeballs. Now, there's a lot of chit chat about all these other strategies in wholesaling, how to find motivated sellers, how to get deals, and all these things. And the most true statement I can tell you about marketing is it's all about eyeballs. If you can go out here and get a ton of people to see that you buy houses for cash, which helps them, goes back on what we just previously talked about, you will go out here and make a ton of money. This is why the man that gets 1,000 cold calls done in a day is going to destroy the person who only does 400 cold calls on the same list. It's just simple math. The reason why the guy who cold calls more makes more money than the guy who cold calls less but is a better closer makes more money is because closing skills only matter so much. That is basically your field goal percentage. Okay? You can be one of those guys that like, I have an 80% field goal percentage, but you take 2 shots a game versus Kobe, who's taken 40 or 50 shots a game, who had a 40% field goal percentage. Kobe's going out here scoring 50, 60 points. You're scoring 6. So it doesn't matter you're a better, free throw shooter or you're a better, you have your most deadly accurate three-pointer. You only shot 4 3-pointers, you know what I mean? And so you got to really understand that deals are going to come from eyeballs. So it's better to go out here and do more marketing than less marketing. And when people ask you how much marketing you should do, the answer is always more. Okay, you got to treat it like a super rich guy. Okay, how much money is there to make? More. But so many people don't just want to talk about the hidden secrets of this business and the real secret about wholesaling real estate and success. And it's all coming from people actually seeing your message, calling, texting, digital band signs, email blasting. It doesn't matter. As long as you get people that want to sell the property, seeing your message, that's what matters. Now, the most important part about this lesson, and the one that I have to always hammer home to you and hammer home to everyone, is when you make 1,000 calls, that doesn't count as 1,000 eyeballs. What I mean by this is if you call 1,000 people and only 500 pick up the phone and say hello, and they're the owners, you only get credit for the 500 that picked up and heard your message or saw it, right? And so if you sent 1,000 texts, but they didn't get delivered, it doesn't matter. You don't get credit for your 1,000 texts. You only get credit for the amount of people that saw your message. Eyeballs, eyeballs, eyeballs. Now, the big difference I can see between people that always go out here, okay, that always go out here and make a ton of money are the people that understand the universal rules of how money works in wholesaling real estate. Now, money in wholesaling will always go to the ones that want it the most. Now, I've said this many times, and I'll continue to keep saying this, but money comes to those who want it the most. And you have to really look at that at face value, not at how much that you just like, you think about it. Oh, I think about wholesaling all the time. No, it's who wants it the most. Now, my definition of wanting it the most is a lot different than you. You want to make 100 grand really bad. I need to make 100 grand. And the difference between you and I is I worked 14, 15, 16 hours when I was 17 years old to make sure I got that done. That's the difference between you and I. A lot of people want to become rich and successful, but how many people actually do? That's the big secret that nobody wants to talk about. And one of the biggest things I could tell you is, I always say the story because I absolutely love it. But when I was, I think 16, no, I was 17, turning 18. I was still a minor, by the way. But I was 17 years old and I just made I was about 50 grand into wholesaling. So first and foremost, okay, it's absolutely hilarious to me, but like, think of put go into my shoes for a second, okay? You're 17 years old. You're in high school. You made 50 grand this year wholesaling real estate. Absolutely insane. Crazy. Absolutely insane. Now, I was putting bandit signs out, and this other guy was putting bandit signs out too. And this man was like in his mid 40s. He had a kid and a wife, right? And all he did was make money in wholesaling. That's all he did. Kind of crazy to me. And so what I'm going to tell you is, there we go. When I was getting started in this business, it was absolutely hilarious. But he was just taking my bandit signs out. And so what I started doing, I started taking his bandit signs out and putting mine in front of him. Now, he was making all of his money on bandit signs, and I was making all my money in bandit signs. He was making about 200 grand a year. I was making 10 grand a month. What I did was he started taking all of my signs off, and I started taking his signs, and we did something called a bandit sign war. So it was all like OG wholesaling stuff back in the day. And so what I did was I got up at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, and I would take all his bandit signs out, put mine there, and I'm not going to, should I say what I did? Okay. He didn't know who I was, but I know who he was. So I took the bandit signs, I wrote his full name, his full address, and I gave it to code enforcement. I dropped it off. I said, this is the guy's information on the signs. And this is really bad. But you know what? I don't know if I'm proud of this, but I'm just going to say what I did. I took like 100 of his bandit signs, and there were about a $10 fine per sign. And I just dropped it off to code enforcement, put his full name information on there and his home address. And he got fined, I think, 3 or 4 grand. And he stopped doing bandit signs because they knew who his signs were. And the funniest thing about it was that when he was the only one picking up his own phones. So when he made new bandit signs, the code enforcement called the bandit sign, heard his voice, and knew who it was. And so then they picked up 20 of those bandit signs and charged him like $500 every time he did but no one knew who I was. And so what was crazy about it was I wanted to succeed so bad. Like, you gave me a taste of making 10 grand a month for 5 months, and I made $50,000. Now, I was 17 years old. Was I a smart kid? I don't know. But I had to make a decision. Was I just going to let the only way that I knew how to make money just go to kaput and let this person who had a wife and kids beat me? Or was going to let this guy win? Now, he went home every night and said, hey, I have a beautiful wife and beautiful children, and I need to be the only way I make money is from bandit signs. I need to find a way to win because I need to put food on the table for my wife and kids. Now, on paper, who is supposed to win that bandit sign war? Who's supposed to win that? Tell me. Who wants it more in that situation? The guy with the wife and kids, probably, versus me, who's just playing. Honestly, I think I was playing Fallout. This is how old I am. Fallout 4 came out when I was a senior in high school. I was playing Fallout, okay? I was in Diamond City, okay, trying to get a battery for my power armor. Why this guy's life's falling apart, okay? And I figured out, and by the way, I'm so old, there's no AI back then. But I said, you know what? I need to win. I want it more. And whole guy's business. I had a lot of bandit sign wars. There was like 4 or 5 guys because bandit signs used to work really well. I put them all out of business because I wanted it more. And I was willing to do anything it took. I just got that little, it's like a shark. Get a little smell of that blood. I was ferocious. You did not want to mess with me back then. And I don't know if I'm proud of that, but I'm just telling you that in that moment, I had a little light in the tunnel of my life changing. And I was willing to do whatever it took to become rich and successful through real estate. And I used a lot of that money to start cold calling and whole life changed after that. But I don't think I regret what I did because it solidified in my mind I was willing to do whatever it took. And nothing illegal, but like it was a lot. Okay. It was definitely a lot what I did. But I want you to understand that that's a little bit more of the crazy side. And we already know this. I'm already mentally deranged. I've lost my mind years ago. Okay. Wholesaling real estate has taken up my entire brain. Okay. I got 100 brain cells, 99 of them are wholesaling. One brain cells probably towards football. That's pretty much it. All right. That's all this brain's got in it. Okay. Only about wholesaling real estate. But the thing is, the reason I won is obviously I got very lucky. I got a lot of great situations, great market stuff like that. But what was really important was I was willing to do whatever it took to become successful. I was willing to put in the work, get up at 4 a.m. and honestly outsmart everybody else because all I did was think about how to win this business. And that's how I got a really good early start. And that's why again, I'm not proud of this. I don't brag about this. But I mean, for 4 years, I worked about 14, 15 hours every single day in wholesaling until I was able to really make a team effectively. Because all I did and all I wanted to do was make more money and do more real estate deals. Now, I'm a very, very rare individual who eats, breathes, sleeps wholesaling, but that's all I want to do. That's all I continue to still want to do all day, every day. And that's why most people can't beat me because I live for this stuff. And I was living for the stuff a year into this business. I mean, 6 months into it, it was like, this can change my life. I don't have to bag groceries anymore. Crazy. And all I did was just live for this business. And again, I kind of lost my mind in this process, but it turned me into an animal where I was willing to work harder than anybody else and I started making a lot more money. And then I was able to kind of come the best in my market and then just start spreading out. Now, again, unfortunately, I was a really dumb kid back then. And I didn't realize how abundant the amount of deals were everywhere. Right now, in one specific market, it's man versus man, like kill or be killed. But when it comes to doing deals all over the country, it's so abundant. It's insane. But I didn't know that. And that's definitely one lesson I would probably tell you that there's just money is so abundant out there. And it's one of the lessons I'll put on here. But making money, cash, it's so abundant in this business. Now, another thing I want to share and tell everyone is the haters in your life, right? And I'm talking about people that talk behind your back, people that, talk about you, stuff like that. And everyone's got haters here and there that don't want them to succeed. Maybe it's one or two, right? Sometimes even your own mom or dad, family members, friends, whatever, right? But you got to remember, anyone that is trying to say that you can't do something or they try to prove you wrong, you just got to understand that they're either going to be extremely right or wrong about you. Now, the thing about it is if your haters are wrong about you, either they're going to say that they've always been right about you, about how you're always going to become successful. They're switch up and say, oh yeah, I've always wanted you to win. I always thought, you could do it and always been rooting in your corner. Or they're going to be right and just keep saying, I knew that wholesaling, I knew that real estate scam was there. I knew you couldn't do it. Now, the thing about it is the truth about if the person saying you can't do it is right or wrong is going to be in the hard work that you're simply just avoiding to do. And if you avoid that hard work, then the hater's going to be right. And if you do the hard work, your hater's going to be wrong. Because it is so easy to talk about how you're going to become rich and successful. But it's so abundantly rare to find someone who's actually willing to follow through with the work. And I've said this many, 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 many times. Okay. But people get really upset when I say it, But all right, I'm just going to say it. Okay. The bar has never been lower to win in wholesaling. It really has never been lower. The ability at your fingertips to pull a free wholesaling list. I skip trace them. I give them to everyone in the community, right? All this. First, we got our bounty lists and we got our government list of the month, right? But the ability to go out here and get a list, get it skip traced, and you start calling the list and getting deals, the bar to succeed has never been so stupid low. I can't stress this enough. The bar has never been lower to win. But so many people want to continue to complain. The bar to win has never been so low. Now you might be like, oh, it's easier back in the day to wholesale. Well, the information wasn't there. It's always a push and a pull. It's always a push and a pull here, okay? But I'm telling you right now, it's never been easier to win because the information has now been on the overloaded side for free info everywhere, which is great. Now, then that it wasn't really always the case. The only one that, I created the first free real estate wholesaling course, basically, like the actual real complete one, not like a fake one. and people started teaching more information. It was great. But the thing is, now info's everywhere. Now there's more wholesalers, but the info's there. And the cool part about it is I still don't know anyone that will pull 1,000 probates, call that list, skip trace that list, that doesn't get deals. That's the problem. Still, nobody wants to talk about that. It's a big secret. No one wants to put 500 sticky notes on doors. It's never been easier to win. You just got to do it. It's simple. It's like saying running a marathon, just run 26.2 miles. Easier said than done, but it can be done, right? Now, I'll tell you this. For anybody watching this that's broke or just getting started in this business, it really only does take 12 months to change your life. That's how long it really took me to change my life completely, make six figures before I graduated high school. But I've seen it happen faster than that, right? It doesn't even need to be that, right? So again, I always like showing this example. Actually, this isn't like here's a new example, right? And shout out to Daniel here, but Daniel just wrote a whole post on this, but shout out to Daniel, right? Daniel Mulima, who he's got to DM me too, because we have multiple of his names on X Leads, but he lives in a country called Eswatini, which is a small country right, it's like next to South Africa, okay? And he just got his first wholesaling deal from freewholesaling.com. Now, I've been very, 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 very much been telling everybody, if you live in the country of Africa and you speak English and you have an internet connection, you are so blessed, because all you need is one deal and your whole yearly salary is paid for. Okay. So shout out to Daniel. The average income in his country is $2,500 a year. Okay. Just understand that. Okay. He makes $1,700 a year at his job. Think about that for a second. He shared his whole story. Okay. What he did to get deals, the breakthroughs, his daily workflow, making $1,700 a year. Found my free game. Okay. And guess what? Guess what? He set a goal for June. He's going to get his first deal. Reaching out to sellers. After 100 days, he collected a $3,000 check. Now you might be like, oh, only $3,000. I really want you to understand this. He almost made double his entire salary on one real estate deal. It took him about 100 days and his whole life's completely changed. Okay. So if you're on the continent of Africa, right? Like, think about this. All it needs to do is one deal, 100 days. You make your whole salary, whatever you're making. And I'll tell you this. We talk about people who want it more. Do you think Daniel, after making his whole salary, almost 2 years salary on one real estate deal in literally 100 days, let's say he chooses your virtual wholesaling market and you live in your mom's basement and you always have an excuse about how hard the world is and life. Daniel's going to eat your lunch because Daniel has a smile on his face every single day. And he's going to smile and dial until his hands are literally bleeding to get the next wholesaling deal. He doesn't roll his eyes and cry about how hard his life is. He just does it. He has the ability to make $100,000 in the next 12 months. That could almost be 70x his last salary. And so everyone looks about how, to change your life in America, but like, I'm telling you right now, I think Africa has over 1 billion people. 3 times the whole continent of Africa has over 1 billion people. I think it's probably more than that, right? They all got they're all 1.5 billion. My bad. And I'll let you know this, okay? A lot of them, the biggest countries, Nigeria, South Africa, they all speak English and they're all learning English at a rapid rate. And one of the secret hacks I think nobody even talks about, but people in Africa have extremely high IQs and extremely high intelligence. And the craziest part about it, and a lot of people don't agree with me on that, but it's like, if you ever look at immigrants, if you look at the highest SAT scores on any immigrant, children of any immigrant in the entire United States. So if you look at United States immigrants, right? Which immigrant country has the highest SAT scores? Like, you immigrant, you have children, then take the SATs. Which country was their parents coming from where they got the highest SAT scores? The statistics show it's Nigeria. And that's always been a true thing, right? Nigeria's just got 260 million people, something crazy, right? They're all really awesome and they all speak English and pretty developed, especially for the continent too, right? Like very developed nation. And they come here, very, very, very smart people, right? And the craziest part about that is they're all getting into wholesaling and they are smarter than you. They will work harder than you. And they don't have this like victim mentality in life. So I'm just letting you know that there's like a sleeping giant, you know, out of Africa coming into wholesaling real estate. I'm seeing it year over year. The large percentage like of new like big like changes, especially in viewership. Africa's like coming up, and a lot of you guys are just really sleeping over the fact here. I think Nigeria is poised to have a bigger population than the United States. It's just crazy to me in the future. And so I just want you to understand that these people want it way more than you. And you got to be that person that says, no, I want it more. And you go to war to go win. But so many wholesalers, they're just sleeping around. You're letting everyone from around the world win. Thing is, winners win and losers lose. Winners will always find a way to win. Losers will always find the excuse why they haven't. But the problem is the winners have the money and the losers don't. So just understand that. It's a very important fact. Okay. And the thing about losers and winners is we all know what a winner is. Someone that just got a wholesaling deal. Awesome, right? But what is a loser? I've always defined in wholesaling real estate a loser as somebody that just gave up. That's the thing. In wholesaling real estate, you only lose when you give up. That is it. That's it. You only lose when you give up. So the absolute only way you're not going to make money in this business is when you just say, oh, I give up. I don't want to wholesale anymore. So that's just what happens when you lose. You only lose when you give up. So stop giving up. I see so many wholesalers just completely give up. And then their whole life goes kaput. Because I don't know, do I want it enough? Is this for me? You start saying all these stupid things. And your brain's saying that because you want to go back to just playing video games and just having dopamine be dropped in your brain all the time. And that's why you're not winning this business. Now, another fact I want to tell everyone is wholesaling is not illegal. I have no idea why this has come out of people's mouths. This is probably one of the craziest facts I've ever heard. But wholesaling real estate is not illegal. It will never be illegal. I cannot stress this enough. Wholesaling real estate is protected by the contract clause in the Constitution. Nobody ever wants to talk about this. It's a big secret. There is something called the contract clause in the Constitution. Okay? Drives me crazy. Okay? Basically, what the contract clause of the Constitution states, so if everyone starts telling me that wholesaling is going to be illegal, it's so stupid. Okay? Contract clause in the Constitution. Section 10, Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1 of the United States Constitution. I don't know if anyone ever reads the Constitution. This is actually what the Constitution states. So a lot of y'all saying wholesaling is illegal have never read the Constitution because you're probably not real Americans out here. But Article 1 of the Section 10, Clause 1 of the Constitution says no state shall enter into a treaty, balance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin tender in the payment of debts, pass any bill, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. Again, it protects private rights from state interference by limiting the power to enact legislation that alters existing contractual rights. I cannot stress this enough. This is already protected in the Constitution of the United States of America. You cannot make laws, okay, that interfere with private citizens making contracts. And the ability to form a contract and sell the contract is what wholesaling real estate is all about. It is already in the Constitution. That's why our forefathers are so amazing, okay? Nobody ever wants to talk about this, okay? But holy moly, the United States Constitution already has talked about wholesaling real estate basically. The ability to form contracts and sell them. We're using contracts more than ever now, actually, right? Like, when you sign up for your like, they don't do, is iTunes a thing now? Apple Music, whatever, right? When you sign up for like Spotify, you have to sign a contract. Everything's contracts. So we're actually using contracts more and more, right? Those, terms and service you have to agree. Like those are contracts. E-signing, DocuSign's bigger than ever, right? It's all about contracts. And wholesaling's the same thing. So they'd have to outlaw basically that as long as the Constitution's still here, I think we're pretty good. Okay. They haven't repealed that. So I think we're chill. All right. And it just so many wholesalers just want to fight me on this. It's so stupid. I also want to let you know this. Calling and texting is not illegal for wholesaling real estate. I cannot stress this enough. This is the dumbest rule I've ever seen being thrown out there. And I see people on Discord and my YouTube comments, and just so funny. So many misinformed people. But calling and texting is not illegal. I don't know why anybody says this, but it's not illegal to call or text somebody to offer to buy the property for cash. Now, again, that is how I interpret the law. But wait, actually, you know what? Scratch that. Okay. It's not actually officially me. Okay. That's saying this. It is actually federal judges. Okay. Federal judges making case law saying that offering to buy somebody's house for cash is not a telephone solicitation. Basically, what this means, okay, I'm not looking to buy your stupid camera. Basically, you're not offering or selling a good or service by offering to buy somebody's property for cash, which null and voids pretty much most telemarketing laws. Now, the reason we have telemarketing laws is so insurance, realtors don't cold call people. Remember, insurance people, realtors, they are salesmen and women. They're called salespeople because they're selling services and goods. Wholesalers do not do this. Okay? And my buddy Max Deer actually made an amazing video about this. He actually talked to a real lawyer in Texas about that Texas law. And he talked about how the lawyer talked about how the law is also talking about to induce somebody for an item. And inducing is a funny one because we don't induce by offering. That's convincing. That's a sales play. And it was actually very fascinating because I never really thought about it like that. But you know why? He didn't think about it either, but an actual real lawyer in Texas actually thought about that and told him that stuff. So again, I should get a hat that says Zackin's always been right. And I'm just going to hand it out to people. Maybe next event I go to, I'll just give that to people. Says Zackin's always been right because I always have been. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm going to toot my own horn. I've been telling everybody for 5 or 6 years on this YouTube channel, I said some dumb person is going to sue somebody for cold calling them. And they're just going to want to settle out of court and get their money. And one guy's going to say, screw it. No. You know what? We're going to get some federal case law so I never get sued again for this. And guess what? A federal judge sees it and says, no, bro, wholesaling, you're good. Dap me up. And, me and us wholesalers and the judge are dapping up, courtside. And we're basically like, yeah, no, you can't sue. Like, it is determined that offering to buy someone's house for cash is not breaking TCPA violations. You can cold call the DNC list as long as you're not a realtor. I mean, judge said something. Judge never specifically talked about realtors or not, but offering to buy someone's house for cash has never, ever been that telephone solicitation. And so I just want everybody to understand this, okay? That I've said that a federal court case is going to happen, and it's going to pretty much make cold calling legal again. And it's going to stop anyone from getting sued because now you have case law to dismiss it federally. And I've been waiting 5 years for this case. And this case came out in June. I cannot tell you this, okay? I believe tears were falling out of my eyes when I was reading this for the first time. When I saw the case law, it moved my heart so much. It was so beautiful. But the reason I was crying was because, which I wasn't really crying. But I'll tell you this, man. It was a big victory because I've been telling everyone this is going to happen, and it happened. And it's not because it fed my ego, but it protects wholesalers. And I always believe that's a thing of beauty. So calling a text has never really been illegal for wholesaling. And again, that's not my legal opinion, but there's plenty of judges that have legal opinions. Now, again, there are laws in the books, and especially there, I've seen laws too that make it like, oh, you can sue people for violations of telemarketing laws, and they made it worse. Texas had like treble damages and stuff. I'm like, yeah, good. I'm like, what do you mean? Why are they making it easier to sue? They're making it easier to sue the actual salespeople calling. Wholesaling, we do not sell anything. So if someone's actually breaking the law, they should get sued even worse. But us in wholesaling, I believe this has been determined many times, we're not breaking these laws. So we're not even part of any lawsuit. So that's just the way I look at things. Now, going back to wholesaling, I've always found this, but about 30 to 50 grand a month is going to be the most you could possibly make in wholesaling solo by yourself. If you're looking to make anything more than 30 grand, maybe all the way up to $50,000 a month, it ain't going to happen. Really, really difficult to do it by yourself. You're going to need a partner, a small team, VA, something. You're really never going to be able to break that $50,000 to $60,000 a month at all if you cannot go out here and, yeah, I mean, you won't be able to really break 50 grand at most without any small little team. So just understand that there is a point where you need to hire people. Remember, Steve Jobs, it wasn't packing all the iPhones himself. He had a small team, then built the team up from there. So many wholesalers just want to pretend that like you can do it all yourself and let's say a million. You do not make millions of dollars a year by doing it all yourself. You need a team. Okay. You're never, Octavian Augustus Caesar was never really able to defeat Mark Antony at Alexandria without a whole team. Okay. You do not have legions and armies, solo. Okay. You need a team. And this isn't an anime. Okay. By the way. All right. This is not One Piece. Okay. This is not Shanks with just this hockey, just one shotting everyone, an army of 5,000 people. Okay. One Piece Red style. But what I'm saying about this is real life. This ain't Naruto, Shadow Clone Jutsu, make 1,000 of you, and then one person destroys the whole. No, Madara going against the whole, the whole army, allied force. This ain't an anime, bro. Okay. In every human endeavor, you need an army of human beings to achieve massive victory, which is you making millions of dollars. Napoleon Bonaparte had an entire army with him. He did not do it all solo by himself. But so many people act like y'all Madara, okay, on the reanimation jutsu, just going ham on everyone. And even if you're not in anime, if you look up Madara reanimation, versus 1,000 Shinobi, it's a pretty sick anime. Make sure you look at the Linkin Park, back in the day, the 2007 Linkin Park anime music videos of Naruto were pretty sick back in the day. But Final Value was cool too. But what I'm basically saying is you're not going to be able to go solo attack. So like you can't just destroy a whole army by yourself. You need a team behind you. This is like real life stuff. Okay. This is not fake stuff. So you're going to have to get someone to hire and work with for a good team here. Just trying to let you know this. Okay. Now, my next lesson here are paid tools are actually cheaper than free tools. I cannot, very important, no, but like I talk about free tools a lot because I feel like the people need it, right? I think of people like Daniel, before he got his first deal, $1,700 a year, he cannot afford X leads, and that's completely fine. But there gets to a point where with cheaper tools, you're using a lot more of your time and you're destroying another important expensive resource. So the most expensive resource that a human being ever has is time. Okay, it's never money, it's always time. You can always make money. Money is always abundant. Anyone can gain more money or lose money. Nobody can ever gain time. Ever, 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 ever. Okay? Now, I don't get all gruesome on you, but like there is a date that you are going to die. And the date's set. Okay? Now, you don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. No one really knows what it is. But it's a date. And there's never going to be really anything you're going to do to extend the date or make the date less, if that's what you believe in. Now, some people you can live a little longer, diet, exercise, stuff like that. But for most people, you have a very, very, very set amount of time you're on this earth, and you're never going to get an extra 100 years. Anyone, can get $100,000, an extra $1 million. You're never going to get extra 100 years on this earth. So I can tell you is time by far is the most valuable resource anybody has. Okay. Warren Buffett would give all of his money to be your age right now. Probably most people watching this. If you're 70, Warren Buffett would give all of his money away just to be 70 years old. So just understand that no one would really make that trade with Warren Buffett to get all of his money. So the money's not the most important thing. Now, money's important to a point, but time is going to be our most valuable resource. So I would argue to tell you that some paid tools are going to be better than cheap tools. Again, I recommend xleads.com, but really up to you. Now, I want to make this very, very clear too in wholesaling. All right. When you decide to go over, into the deep end, into wholesaling real estate, you go all in on this business, right? There's a couple of guaranteed things that are going to happen to you and are going to happen to you in your life. First and foremost, you're going to get hate comments. You're going to get haters. You're going to get people who don't want you to win. That is just a part of this business. It's always going to happen. People are not going to want you to win. The way I always look at it is I always look at it like a classroom. So think about this. If you're in a class of 100 people, which we've all been in classes like 30, 40 maybe. You remember as a kid, like 30 people in a class? Was there always just one really mean, like aggressive, nasty person in that class? Always. And I always call it the 1% rule. But if you get 100 Americans in a room, there's always going to be one out of 100, one person out of 100 that is absolutely terrible, mean, nasty, angry, always going to say hate towards you, always just mean, and they never want anyone to become successful. It's all about them. Terrible, right? It's always one out of 100. That's about what I found. Now, 99% amazing, awesome, down to earth, great people, love them to death. There's always going to be one out of 100. Now think about that. And I tell this to, my dad, right, all the time when he has to deal with hate comments. But I'm just like, think about this. You have 30,000 YouTube subscribers. Okay. 1% of them are just going to be so mean and awful to you. Just deal. Like they're going to say whatever they want about you. Remember those people at school? Now there's 300 of them ganging up on a stream, but it's just a true thing, right? So now you don't have hundreds of thousands of subscribers and followers on Instagram like me, but you might have 100 people who know you in your life. You're going to deal with a couple people that are just going to be hating on you. And that's fine. But just understand that it comes with the job. You're always going to deal with that. And guess what? In your regular job, there's always going to be someone like that too. So the hate comments are going to be guaranteed. What's also guaranteed in this business is being tired. I'm sorry to be the guy to tell you this, but it's part of the job. You're going to be tired. You're always going to be tired. Okay. Especially if you're working part-time in this business because you have a full-time job, wife and or a kid, like you're always going to be tired. So stop trying to wholesale when you feel motivated. Okay. Not feeling motivated is guaranteed too, right? So I'll write that down. Not feeling motivated some days. Oh, is or are? Is. So not feeling motivated some days is guaranteed too. It is bound to happen. But here's the thing. What really separates some winners and losers in this business are basically the definition of discipline. So my definition of discipline is doing the work on days you don't want to do it, right? It's kind of like I kind of took it from Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali says I start counting my reps after they start hurting, which I think is actually real. Muhammad Ali, some great zingers out there. Very intelligent man, right? Really ahead of his time, the way he speaks. But one thing I can tell you is not feeling motivated, okay? Cannot stress this enough, all right? It's going to happen. But the point is, when you start doing on the days you don't feel motivated or you don't feel like doing it, right? So just letting you know that there are going to be days where it doesn't feel like you want to do it, but that's fine. Like, acknowledge it. I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it. Here's my favorite thing about it. Y'all will wake up tomorrow at 8:30, some of y'all, or 8 o'clock. You wake up in the morning and say, oh, I don't want to go to work. But guess what you do? You get up, you go, oh, okay, whatever. stretch out, brush your teeth, get some breakfast, drive to work. You work all day. You don't want to be there at all, but you're there. You do the work. And you get home and you're like, oh, and you do that 5 days in a row, weekend, go back, right? The craziest part about it is you've told yourself every single day at work before you got up in the morning, you do not want to do this. You do not want to be here. You've said it every single time you got up, but you always did it because you don't want to be homeless on the streets. That's way worse than not wanting to work, right? But when it comes to wholesaling, you do this. Oh, I don't want to wholesale. And you just don't do it. Why is work why are you working so much harder for the boss's dreams and not your dreams? So the thing is, your literal job, you do the same exact thing you're doing now, except you're quitting on yourself and wholesaling, which is something that's actually going to change your life. Absolute insanity to me. Absolutely insanity to me. Okay. Yeah. Like I said that. Okay. Logan and Jake Paul's dad is a hater of mine. I don't even understand this. What did I do to this guy? Legit. Look it up. Jake Paul's dad and Logan Paul's dad, he legit has beef with me. Like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, I've never, ever hated on your sons at all. Okay? Like, I used to watch It's Every Day, Bro. That's how, like, I kind of was jamming with that song when it came out when I was a kid. I think I was in middle school, high school. Like, where are you hating on me, bro? For some reason, he doesn't like me. I have no idea why. But like I don't cry over it. But like, it's just part of the job. Okay. But here's the thing. You're not going to feel motivated. Okay. The thing about it is you're going to feel stress, doing two jobs. So here's the thing. If you ain't feeling stressed, then you ain't making money. Okay. Well, I want you to understand this. If you ain't stressed, you probably ain't making money. And if you're not stressed enough in wholesaling, you're probably not doing enough. I want you to really understand this. I just get told a lot from people that actually, no, I get told two things mainly where people see me in real life. So at events or, they see me at the gym or something like that, right? People come up to me and they just ask me mainly two things. No joke. Does anybody know? I'm very curious. Does anybody know the two most common questions I get? When everyone sees me, they say, "Are you Zach Gitt?" And then they say two things. They ask me two things. Always. So stupid. Do you want to know what it is? Number one, I didn't realize you're so tall. And then I say, I'm not that tall. They're like, yeah, but I thought you're like 5'4". I'm like, I'm 6'1". Okay. 6'2" with shoes on. I'm like, I'm 6'1". I'm like, well, what do you think I was? Like a little midget? Like, I'm not a short king. Okay. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong about being a small little person. But like, why does everyone think I'm a short person? It's ridiculous. First and foremost, and I'm saying this not because it bothers me, but the last 14 times someone's recognized me in public, they have always said you're a lot taller than I thought. What am I giving off here that makes me look like I'm a short king? Okay? It's ridiculous. But it's insane. Okay? Ridiculous. And, the next one is, how do you deal with everything going on? Aren't you so stressed all the time? And that's the funniest thing. Guys, I want you to understand that I sleep ridiculously well. Okay? I sleep so ridiculously well at night. Like, trust me, many men, 50 Cent style, would probably toss and turn every night, not be able to even live with the amount of businesses and stuff going on. Okay. I got people that just want my head. Okay. At every direction. All right. I'm saying that figuratively and literally. Okay. And the craziest part about it is I've never screwed one person in this business. And I've always done what's right for the people. And still, I got people that absolutely want the worst for me, right? I got people, I see people on the internet, they make exposed videos on me. They say the craziest things, right? I get people that compliment me, then hate me. It's weird, right? And I run all these businesses. I mean, 6 figures a month in payroll, and I still sleep like a baby for 2 reasons. First, I'm filthy, stupid rich. Okay, just okay. All right. Number one, I'm filthy, stupid rich. I make a lot of money. Okay, and I will not I will not argue that fact. But also number two, I think this is very important. When you work, I want everyone to know, when you work so dang hard, when I go to bed at night, I say, I've done literally when I was stressed out of my mind for working all day, every day in wholesaling, I slept really good too because I was like, I literally did everything I possibly could to help me in my business today. Like there was nothing I could have done differently. I could have not put any more effort and go to sleep. And it's so funny, but that's how I sleep really well. Okay. Because I'm like, I did everything. And so when I go to bed, I'm like, well, I'm making a ton of money and my business is doing everything it possibly can right now. There's nothing I could really be doing. And because the problem is I can't really do too much work in my business because I have managers who manage things. So it's like I can't really get in their way. So I sleep. And I sleep pretty good, right? So I'm not stressed at all, because I've done everything I possibly can. Now the real stress, I get stressed when there's things that are out. Like I get stressed on things that are in my control. So usually I have my controllables already done. And everything else I take a very stoic approach on, where it's like if it's outside your control, stop stressing over it. Like for example, my beloved Miami Dolphins absolutely pooped the bed today because they absolutely suck at football. All right. They absolutely suck. What is up with the O-line? Put me in, coach. Let me be the offensive lineman. I can do better sometimes, I think. But is some billion-dollar sports corporation going to make me happier or better? No. My life would be better if they made one more games. I think I'd be slightly more happier. But it's outside my control if they win or not. So I'm not going to let that determine my happiness. But they do suck. And I want everyone to understand that. My Florida Gators can't control that they suck. I can't control that guy spit in the other guy's face. Even after he saw the Eagles guy do it, he literally spit in wow, that guy spit in his face. I'm going to do the same thing. On the last drive when USF's about to score, I'm going to go do it and just get a 15-yard penalty. Whoa. I'm going to do a 15-yard penalty and lose the game. It's outside my control. People do dumb things. And so I don't stress over that. Okay. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, marketing is king. I want everyone to understand this, that marketing and wholesaling real estate is absolute king. All right. Everything else doesn't matter. I want you to really, really, really understand that marketing and wholesaling real estate is the absolute most important thing you can do. Everything else really doesn't matter. And the reason I say this is if I could take you, any wholesaler out here, and you gave me 1 month, and either is 1 month to make you the best at marketing, the best in acquisitions, or the best in dispositions, there's only one right answer, and that's always marketing. Because I can really take anybody in 3 days and make them a master at acquisitions. I can make them a master at dispositions, and I can make them a master at pretty much any other aspect of this business except for marketing. Marketing is the one that takes the most time, the most skill set, and where people put the most money in this business and the most time. Because once you master that, everything else in wholesaling really opens up for you. It's just the truth. You can always JV your dispo. All you can do is you can even JV your acquisitions. You cannot JV the marketing to a point. I mean, if you JV on the dispo side, sure, but that's a whole other can of worms. So marketing is always going to be the most important aspect. That's the one that everyone cares about. Okay. So many people don't want to talk about. Okay. Drives me crazy. So again, everyone should just understand this. All right. That marketing is the most important skill set you can learn. So I tell everyone, if you're under $500 a month, stick to government lists. Stick to lists you get from the government, absolutely free, costs no money. That is what you got to do. Hopefully someone, I don't know, someone broke in the studio. About to find out. they ain't gonna like what I got. I got a little surprise for them if they want to walk in here. Might have to turn the I don't know. Maybe it's the kitchen in there. But they got a little surprise if they want to walk in. I heard something. Yeah. They ain't gonna like what I got. I'll turn the camera off. I'll keep the audio on for you. But they don't want the smoke, bro. I live in Florida, bro. Florida is not a place you want to break into. Yeah. So stick to government list. I have no idea what that sound was. That was kind of funny though. Huh. Yeah. If they were smart, they would walk out the door. I'll tell you that. See, I have zero care in the world. My stress is on things I can't control. If someone's gonna walk in here right now and try to rob me, I have complete control over this situation. Oh, that's for a different day. Yeah. Stay tuned. Whatever. All right, there we go. Oh my gosh, I heard something. I don't know. This is like our whole studio office. So we have a kitchen, a bunch of studios, and so maybe it was the water run out. Heard something though. Hey, no big deal. All right. My other rule here is money is abundance. Hard work isn't. And basically, what I mean by this is in real estate wholesaling, I mean real estate investing in general, money is abundant. Money is so abundant. Okay. Cannot stress this enough. But money is always there. There's actually so much money to be made in real estate wholesaling. It's honestly disgusting. Once you start making the thing about wholesaling is such a linear curve. It's such a exponential curve. When you start just figuring out the game, the amount of money you make is insane. And the most beautiful part about wholesaling is you really don't start hitting your stride until about 10, 15 years in. And the craziest part about it is if you're 20 years old, 15 years in, you're 35, you probably have 40. Yeah, I would say you probably have an extra 40 years in this business. The thing is, in wholesaling, you could be in the real estate game at 7 years old. Even in wholesaling, 75, 80, there's no problem. It's not like being an athlete where you washed up at 40. Okay. You're just getting started at 40. I mean, you're just getting started at 50, right? That's the coolest part about business is you make your most money in business when you're in your 50s and 60s. That's the coolest part about real estate wholesaling. I mean, real estate entrepreneurship in general. Because in wholesaling, we don't get paid money with our bodies. So we just get paid with our brains. And so your brain's not really decaying too much. So that's the craziest part is you have so much time. Guys, you have way more time, okay, than you can ever even imagine. All right. So much time. All right. And so many people really, really don't understand that you have way more time than you can ever even imagine. It's beautiful. And so if you have time, I cannot stress this enough that you should be putting as much time as you can in wholesaling real estate because you have 20 years in this game. Not 20 years to wait to figure it out, but get good now and then start exponentially because making millions of dollars is a very, very, very easy thing once you start getting just more and more money. That is it. I always call it's like a video game and you're always leveling up. And the coolest part is when you level up from level 1,000 to level 2,000, just the amount of money you make just gets more and more and more. It's absolute insanity. Just understand that. Okay. Now, I also want to tell you this. And before I get everyone excited, oh, I'm ready to make money. Yeah! Woo! We're about to make some money. Let me throw you a little truth here, okay? The down payment to become a wholesaling millionaire is 14-hour days for 3 years straight. Now, forever's like, what? What are you talking about, bro? Guys, I wouldn't be here today if I didn't put 3 years in this business working 14 hours a day. Just absolutely absorbing and learning and getting as many skills as I possibly can. Now, a lot of people forgot that I trained my entire acquisitions team in person and virtual. Like, I'm the guy who is teaching them how to close sellers, and then they go out here and close sellers. And I've been doing that for like 6, 7 years. Okay. I am one of the best closers out here. And a lot of people really kind of forgot that. I did a lot more closing stuff on YouTube Live, and I just been more on like the teaching part of this business. And then in my own wholesaling, I just kind of do a lot of teaching on the closing, but I'll still go out there on appointments and close sellers in front of people. I was heavily considering buying a bunch of meta. I think about buying meta glasses for my team and just having go out on appointments and just doing that stuff. But I went live with High Speed Lead Right with Max Deer, and we had a closing competition. And Max is probably, a lot of people know this, he's one of the best closers out there. He's a great closer. But everyone was commenting like, "Oh, Zach's he sucks. He's not that good. He's terrible. He's terrible. Terrible. I'm like, everyone's like saying I suck. I'm like, all right, bet. And I went on and I just bought we bought a bunch of those leads, and I just said, all right, let me just show everyone what's up. And first lady, boom. I got that lady hooting and hollering in like 15 minutes, loving me, get the craziest price reductions possible. And I think I did 5 contracts, 3 deals, but 5 contracts. And I was getting a contract an hour for 5 hours straight. And I was just a closing machine. And the thing why was I wasn't closing just to close like on what they wanted. I was getting reductions, creative finance deals, not creative deals, getting appointments set up while closing. The reason is because I've put in my time. And again, people really forgot. And that live stream really opened people's eyes. All right. That live stream opened people's eyes. Okay. A lot of people thought I've heard a lot of people say Zach's on closure. I'm like, all right, let me just pop off 5 contracts, 5 hours. Show us up. And, I'm not going to tell you what some people said, but after that stream, a lot of people were like, oh, wow. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to toot my own horn too much, but like, and I'm not doing this to brag. I'm not doing this because I feel like I have the biggest like ego out there. But the only reason I'm so good at closing is because I put so many hours talking to sellers. I have so much time I've put into learning how to close. I've gotten elite at this business because all I do is talk to sellers, close deals, and teach other people how to do it. My team, and then you guys too. Absolutely insane. And then people keep forgetting I'm really good at closing. So I'm like, all right. Again, because I never make it the most important thing in the world to close. It's always about marketing to me. But I'm like, okay, well, let me show how good I am at closing. Then boom, bop, bop, bop. That's why I would say, I'm not going to say it. But again, the reason I'm so good at it is because I've just put my hours in. There's no secret to it. I tell everyone, put your own hours in. You're going to get so good at this. But also, I have an elite level of confidence. I believe in the words I say and the things I do so much, but I can also back it up with rapport. Now, another lesson I want everyone to understand is if you can't dispo, right, you can't sell a wholesale deal. Now, I tell everyone acquisition is not the most important thing because you can learn that really quick, the reps. Thing is, if you can't dispo, there's 3 reasons why you can't sell a wholesale deal. That's why I do a lot of JVing. I'm really good at JVing too, is because first and foremost, you suck at dispo because either you lock the deal up too high, which is very, very, very common. It's probably the most common reason people can't basically dispo is they lock up the deal too high. The answer to that, renegotiate the price. Number 2, there's not enough buyers in a market. So you most likely have a rural market. All right. Number 3, or you just don't have enough buyers. And that's the least likely. But the truth bomb about this is most people think, oh, the reason why I'm not dispoing right is because I just don't have enough buyers. No. Usually it's because you locked it up too high. Maybe it's the rural market, but most likely you just don't have enough buyers. Now, another important fact here is when you get your first wholesaling deal, that money is not yours. Let me explain this. All right. When you get your first wholesaling deal, that money is never yours. That money is your business's. So whenever you make your first money in wholesaling, you always need to reinvest at least half of it back into the business to make your life easier so you can start making more money. So you make it 10 grand, put 5 grand in the business. Now it could be, you spend, $200 a month on X leads for the pro plan. Okay. $2,400 for the year. Cool. And then you put an extra couple $100 on gas or drying for dollars. Simple like that. Something stupid simple, right? But that at least half of what you make, you got to put that back in the business. Okay. Don't go buy a wholesaling course for 15 grand. I'm just telling you, put that back into marketing so you can start doing more wholesaling deals. Very important, reinvest. That money's not yours. It's to your business so that business keeps going. Okay. Got to feed the business. Next year, closing is simple. Now there's 2 C's, CCOS. So, I can't make an acronym for that. But closing is simple. Number 1 is confidence, believing in the words you say and the things you do. That's how I define confidence. Number 2, connection. All right. You need to connect with the seller on a personal level. One thing I was doing on that live stream, 5 contracts, 5 hours, was something that was really, really funny. And I was making fun of Max, even though like we're buddies, I'm like, dude, he's like a really big, he likes soccer, right? Because his whole family like European or whatever. But I love Champions League. I like Premier League, stuff like that too. I'm a big soccer fan too, but I'm a way bigger football fan, right? Thing about it is Americans live and breathe for football. So I was able to talk about sports to all of these sellers and they were so happy about it. Like I had this old lady in Ohio. She was just talking about she's the biggest Kansas City Chiefs fan. And this was on a Thursday. And so guess what I did? We were just talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, Mahomes, and the Chargers. And because I like football, and I'll be honest with you, most of my sports takes, I'm not going out here on Reddit reading all the sports analysts, okay? I had a fantasy football draft with 14 guys. And, half of them are buddies, half of them were like people I just met, right? And we're all like just doing our fantasy football draft. And they're all telling me everything about what I need to know about sports. And so I just absorb all that information and then I give my hot takes, oh, I don't think the Chiefs are as good as they were this year. And I know ball too, but I'll tell you this. All right. All the sports knowledge seems really useless, but I used all my sports knowledge to close a bunch of sellers, right? I'm just talking about the Chiefs and it's just so funny, right? I knew all about the Chiefs and Chargers for fantasy football, but it really actually helped me out. Now I'm telling you to learn fantasy football, but just knowing sports has helped me so much in closing. Like there's deals, and I cannot kid you not. There's deals that I won because I just talked about the Cowboys to somebody. All right. I remember very specifically many sellers who they were so hard to talk to. But all I did was I saw Dallas Cowboys little t-shirt they were wearing. And I just started bringing up the Cowboys and they opened up so well and opened up so many cans of worms. You know why? Thing about sports is everyone likes to demonize sports and watching sports, but sports is inherently one of the most emotional things a person, pretty much a man, can have. The reason is because they grew up with their dad. And if you're like your 50s or 60s, maybe your dad's not around anymore. That's something you attribute with them. And that's an emotional, nostalgic part in your heart that you are emotional about, which means when you talk about it, you feel good things like when you were a little child. And you also feel and then you share it with your kids. And now it's something you relate to your kids and your dad and your family, right? And so people really open up with that stuff. And if you can bring up hobbies like that, it's a massive thing. And a lot of people think I'm dumb by saying it, but I'm like, let me bring it up. And all these, we're talking about, I'm screaming boomer sooner to a lady. Most people think, are you crazy? And she's like, oh, she's all for it, right? And after I closed it, of course, I was chanting SEC to Max He didn't even know. He's like, what is that? I'm like, bro, you don't get it. SEC. Again, USF just destroyed the Gators, so there's nothing I could say about that. But again, you have to know ball, and that helps a lot. But again, connection's an important part. Fishing, whatever it is, right? If you're really into knitting, good luck. But you don't need to be like really into sports or whatever to start closing. But I'm just telling you that like it is a gift. Next is offers. Again, it's all about, and again, after I made the connection, I can yap all day. I mean, I was talking to a lady now about sports. We're talking about Atlanta, Georgia. Not a lot of people know this, but like, my dad's family, right? Rick, right? All grew up in Atlanta. Rick never lived in Atlanta, but his whole grandparents, great grandparents from Atlanta. And so funny, like so funny that I could relate to someone in Atlanta because my great grandparents were from that area and I know all about it. I used to go to funerals out there. Like whatever you can to build connections, use whatever you got in that memory base, right? And I use that to close deals that most people could have never done. And you open up people. I'm just telling you. And again, I have read a lot of psychological books. Okay. Uh, it's so funny. And so again, I had 5 different seller archetypes and I was able to connect with them all in different ways. I just kind of, I know it sounds really dirty what I'm saying, and like, but it's all psychology. I always treat it like boxing or MMA or any fighting because I love combat sports, right? So it's like if you're fighting someone, you find an opening, you're just going to keep attacking the opening. So if someone's really weak on their boxing in MMA, you're just going to keep boxing. If they're really, really bad and all they do is box, you just take them down. Do a lot, right? If they're really bad on the clinch, you go, some Muay Thai stuff, right? If they're really bad at, jujitsu, you're going to try to choke them out, right? You got to find where you can build that rapport and just go there, right? So you try, I always like FORD, Ford. So Ford is a great acronym for closing sellers. It stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So when you're trying to build rapport with somebody, you talk about their family. O, occupation, what do they do for a living? R, recreation, what they like to do for fun, sports, right? Fishing, skiing, whatever. D is dreams, where they want to be in the future, right? Oh, I want to go own like a horse farm and cattle market. Cool, right? Next year, solutions. Your offer has to be a solution to the problem. Simple. Next, buyers are logical, sellers are emotional. So when you're going out here and selling a wholesaling deal to a buyer, you cannot use emotions. It's the deal of a lifetime. Buyers only care about the numbers. Stop trying to do anything that's not that. Sellers do not care about logic. Do not tell them that their comps are wrong. Just give them an offer. It's all about emotions. Okay? It's all about emotions. All right. Very important. Now, another thing I can tell you is email blasting is extremely, extremely underrated. That is a massive, like, guys, I basically invented email blasting on a large scale for free about 6 months ago. And a lot of people take me up. Again, I made there's a whole software inside of freewholesaling.com in my free wholesaling course that connects Gmail to Google Voice. Sorry, it connects Google Sheets to Gmail, and you can basically email blast for free. It's insane. And a lot of people use it, but I still think it's extremely underrated. If you want to learn how to do it, I have a free wholesaling course. I'm going to scroll on the bottom. It's called freewholesaling.com. It's my free coursing community. You go in there, you'll learn how to actually start email blasting. You can download the software. It's really, really cool. So yeah, highly recommend it. Not a lot of people email blast. Extremely, extremely underrated. Email blasting it's insane. Go do it. Okay. And email blasting is not like calling or texting. You have to have stupid volume. Like you need to be sending 30, 40,000 emails before you even complain to me. Okay. About your results. Next here, AI SMS is extremely underrated. Now, again, I don't want to plug xleads.com, but I'm going to plug it. Using AI to answer your SMSs is technically cheaper than VAs for calling yourself. That's crazy. But with the legalities, AI is pretty cool because they text back. But the thing about it is the AI numbers are so skewed now that it's actually cheaper to use AI to text blast to answer your text and then go in your CRM. So for example, if you get to xleads.com, you can use AI SMS, which means you send the text, and if somebody replies, AI will reply for you. And the AI is going to determine if the person is interested or not interested in selling. If AI determines they're interested, it's going to go thrown in your CRM as an interested person on your deal board. And you're supposed to go and close them, call them, talk to them, right? And if they're not interested, you don't have to do. So you could send 3,000 emails, 3,000 texts. So 300 texts for the next 10 hours. And you go to work and you come back to work and you have 2 new leads that are interested from AI texting. And you don't do any work. And you don't have to pay VAs $7, $8 an hour. So AI SMS is extremely, extremely underrated. It's really good. I've trained it on all of my texting. So it's really dang good. Next, confidence is all about belief. It's not a superpower. It's not a holy divine trait you get from your real estate coach. It's from confidence and belief in yourself and the words you say and the things you do. Next here, and this is something I'm really passionate about, but I really, really, should I say this? No. Okay. I'm just going to say it. All right. Why not? Okay. Okay. I'm going to do another hot take. It's about to go in front of the one thing I'm going to say. But I really do believe that paid coaching and wholesaling is dying out. And I really, really do think with the abundance of information, what has really been done is, and I'll say this many times, there's some really, really large real estate, not real estate, there's really large influencers in the media space. They've actually reached out to me and they want to know more about me. And they're like, Zach, why don't you sell coaching? And I said, because I'm not stupid. And I just explained my business model and they're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But like, you're making way more money than all these wholesaling coaches and you don't sell anything. I'm like, yeah, duh, crack the code. And they said, well, why doesn't everybody else do that? I'm like, well, because they probably really suck at JVs. I don't know. Right. And basically, I've had a lot of talks about it, but basically I'm really talking to the next generation of wholesalers and I'm really trying to push them, not really for me, but I'm trying to push them. I'm like, why don't you just like stop with your paid coaching and you do performance-based coaching? So for example, if you pay somebody 10 grand to learn wholesaling, if they don't win, you have no financial incentive to help them out. So I'm thinking of like, I don't know how I can do this because like, I'm not going to change people, but I think the next generation of wholesalers is going to do this. I really believe in the next 5 to 10 years, coaching is going to be free, but like, it's going to be like, okay, you know, you give someone like 10 grand. Okay, fine. You give someone like, no, 2 grand or whatever. And then you pay the person like 2 grand for every deal you do for the next like 3 years for coaching, right? So like, it's basically in a point where like the coach gets their 10 grand, but they only get their 10 grand if they can provide like 100 grand of value. You know what I mean? Like commission-based coaching. Because I thought about it watching football today. It's like, if a football coach sucks, he's going to get fired. He's never going to get a job again. And so it'd be crazy to like give a coach like basically unlimited money and be like, we can never fire you. And so I really do believe in the future, okay, that communities and coaching is probably going to go away. And it is going away. But I think JV coaching is going to be, JV coaching is like the new play. And that's what I do, right? So you don't give me money, okay? Like you don't give me money. What you do is you send me a JV deal. My team will literally coach you what to do. And it's basically coaching, but they're just joint venturing, but it's with my team and not with me, right? Because I can't individually coach everyone here, right? So what I'm going to tell you guys is I'm trying to bring the next generation of wholesalers up on this. We're like, you coach, but like the real coaching is when you send us a wholesaling deal. I think that's the next thing, right? I've seen some cool models. I've seen models where like you give someone like some money like upfront, like coaching fee, but like basically you get it back if you can do deals and then like do JV with the guy. That's not bad either. I've seen some interesting models, but like I really think the whole like give me money and if you don't perform, then you still out your money. I think that's going to go away a lot. I think performative coaching is going to be the next wave. Okay. And I'm working really hard on this because I really think that's the way of the future. And I'm pretty excited about it. Now, I don't want to be the guy doing it. So I'm going to be pushing other like guys to do it because like I'm not against coaching at all compared to marketing. I think marketing is way better than paid coaching. But like when you guys like, when you pay someone like, I don't know, think of like a big name YouTube guy or like a big name like real estate influencer in wholesaling. When you pay them like $500, just like a down payment, and you get that money back if you get a deal with them and that you split the deal with them 50-50 for the next like couple deals. Like I think everyone would do that. Right. And so I think that's the new wave. The reason is I'm telling these guys, like I had some guys that tell me, like, why don't you pay? Like you could make $1 million a month doing coaching. I'm like, bro, you know how much money I make on JVs? Basically, I don't make 10 grand I wouldn't know, like when someone's like a student on a JV with me, I will teach them, but we'll do like $50,000 of real estate deals. I'll get paid 25 grand. You get 25 and I get 25 grand of JVs. So when I help you out, I only get paid when you do deals. And it's really gangster. And I think people are learning that JVs is the wave. So I would have my team teach you. You make 100 grand. I make 50 grand. You keep 50. That's JV. Then you're on your way. I don't get any more money. I collected 50 grand from a student without them paying anything for coaching. They're just, I get a part of the JV deal. Now the part is really like hounding people to pay you when they do a deal. Cause I've been screwed by a couple of people. I'm not going to mention this. There's certain individuals that I have taught and I said, hey, I will personally coach you, but you just got to give me like just give me half the next 4 deals and I'll coach you on everything. And they'll run up like 300 grand in 2 months because I tell them what to do. And they owe me like 100 grand and they just don't pay me. They're like they just go ghost on me. It's like, do I sue them? Do I not? And I got people that actually pay. Like I have students, no joke. They've given me $0. They've paid me no money. I personally mentored them and they'll give me hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in just JV deals. So I have students that give me 100 grand a year basically to coach them. It's crazy. And I think real estate coaches are going to start doing this. And I think it's going to be really, really interesting. But yeah, I'm telling you, performance-based coaching, I believe in it. I'm spreading it out to the world. Guys, your network is your net worth. Okay. I've learned this wholesaling real estate community out here. And that means it's easier than ever to network with other wholesalers. Go to freewholesaling.com, network with the community. Speaking of freewholesaling.com, I'm going to put the link down. Information is everywhere, but execution is rare. Just understand that. Okay. Execution is rare. All right. People don't want to execute in this business. Everyone has information. freewholesaling.com's got the most information. But the real execution is rare. People don't want to actually do the work. Do the work, you'll make the money. Next year, skip tracing is practically free. Stop getting scammed. I see people paying 6-7 cents for skip tracing. Literally, xleads.com, get your skip tracing there. And my last and probably my starkest warning to everybody is first and foremost, okay? AI is coming. Let me make this very, very clear. AI is coming. It's already here. It's already doing a lot in wholesaling. Stop being the farrier. Now, I may be like, Zach, what in the world is a farrier? A farrier is basically someone that worked on like horseshoes and like they're like a horsemith. I don't know if that's the right word, but like they basically worked on horses in the 1800s, in the early 1900s. Now, farriers had an incentive for cars not to work. So cars were becoming a new thing. And farriers were like, hey, you know, cars are it's just a fad. It'll never work. And they said, no, I'm going back to my horse, working on the horses. And eventually they got left in the dust and everyone started using cars. And then they're the ones behind. So you got to remember that AI is coming. You got to stop being that person that says, I don't want to use AI. AI is not going to help me out in real estate wholesaling. Everybody, candle makers complaining about light bulbs. It's even better. Didn't even think about that. Smart. But AI is coming, guys. Okay. It's here. If you do not use it for wholesaling, your competition will, and you'll get smoked. Start learning AI. I have all my AI stuff in freelisting.com, and you can learn how to wholesale real estate absolutely for free. Wow. I just yapped for an hour and 20 minutes. Holy moly. I just ranted about wholesaling all day. Guys, go to freelisting.com. It's my free real estate wholesaling course. And that's how you can learn wholesaling absolutely for free. So I think I went a little longer, 85 minutes, but whatever. So guys, if you got any value from this video, do me a favor. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe. Appreciate you guys listening to me live here. And, AI's come and stop using a realtor. Some good comments. Zay says that the Dolphins played today. They did not. They didn't play well. I don't know if they even count. But guys, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe. Go to freelisting.com, my free real estate wholesaling course and community. I'll see you soon. This is Zach signing out. Have a blessed one.